In the Saxony sunshine, we're about to go racing for round 3 of this year's ADAC GT Masters. 2 races done at Ottersleben, 2 this weekend, 1 today, 1 tomorrow. And the cars make their way onto the rolling map. Behind the 16, the GRT Brasser Racing Team Lamborghini, which starts for me on the grid. They've started the sessions we had this morning. The second session for the race 2 grid tomorrow morning. And as the cars almost all get away, there is drama on the grid because one car, Robert Siegler's Lamborghini, has not got going, and the car directly behind David Yarn's Porsche has been boxed in behind, and that is going to create mayhem in a sense for the race director, because you're going to have cars out of position, and David Yarn is the one that really has lost out very badly through, not really any of his fault. We've got 2 cars stationary, as I say, and I have a horrible feeling that we're going to have a delayed start. There you can see it, Norbert Siedler's car has not got away, David Yarn boxed in behind, and now Siegler does get going, but they're both going to have to start at the back, are they not? Rather than wriggle through and take their places on the grid. So we'll have to keep an eye to that and see exactly what develops between the 2. So David Yarn gets the Porsche away first, Norbert Siegler in the Lamborghini. Siegler would have been on the 6th row, he would have been 12th and 14th, David Yarn. Let's have a look at how they do qualify, how they should line up, at least based on the times this morning, with Lukas Stoltz and Sebastian Asch locking out the front of the grid ahead of the Bentley of Christer Jürgens. And Jules Gounon in the Corvette, he shares with Daniel Kylevitz, and that's going to be a quick car around here. Lucas Schreier was at the gravel, that did enough to be 5th. Marcus Winkelhoff goes from 6th, ahead of Patrick Koyala, and then Conor de Filippi, who is the championship leader, along with Christopher Mees. Then it's Philipp Geipel, lining up alongside Rolf Inijk and Robert Renau, and it should have been Norbert Siegler next ahead of Hamprecht, and it should have been David Yarn. Then it's Peter Huvenaz and Christian Frankenhout as the cars now start to get themselves ready in the 2x2 formation. Patrick Assenheimer was in the gravel, Daniel Dobic 18th, Florian Spengler ahead of Isaac Tutumlu, then Florian Stoll and Elia Earhart. The 12th row, Daniel Zampieri and Remo Lips ahead of Emil Lindholm and Michaela Arlen Kotelinski. The 14th row, Andreas Weishaut lines up alongside Steve Feiger, and the cars now getting themselves in order, ready for the start. 60 minutes plus a lap this year, the pit window 25 to 35 minutes, a pit stop 65 seconds, and we're good to go racing. David Addison trackside, looking forward to what should be a tremendous race. The Sachsenring circuit is absolutely brilliant, it's one you must come to. It's got loads of undulations, it's great for spectators. Almost everywhere you stand you can see more than just one little bit of it. It's one that the drivers love, they call it the mini Nordschleife, and looking down at the pack of cars as they work their way towards the grid, it looks like David Yarn has got back into position. Norbert Siegler, I think he's going to have to go from the rear of the grid as up they come towards the line. If the race director is happy, he will give the signal for the race to get underway, and that, for 60 minutes of racing, is about to happen. The lights are red, the lights will go out. A bit sluggish on his toes with Sebastian Asch. The Mercedes loses ground on the way up towards turn 1. The race lead taken by Lukas Stoltz as diving up the inside goes the Bentley. Then Christer Jürgens trying to gain places as they work their way through and then drop downhill for the first time. Is everybody round turn 1 safely? No. Bodywork flies. They've all got away with it though as they wriggle downhill for the first time. But Stoltz it is who leads the way as they come out of turn 3, uphill. I say the road is virtually never flat, it's either going up or down. Philipp Geipel is on the outside line there trying to make up ground, and the cars then plunge for the first time downhill. Speed building out of turn 5 through 6. And then you've got the short straight along the bottom. He's now dropped to 4th and has got work to do, trying to work out who it was that shed the bodywork early on, as a place is gained on the inside by Christian Frankenhout in the white Audi. Up they come then now, the road climbs through turn 7 onto turn 8, but it's turn 10 where you've got that little kick and the road plunges downhill with a yellow flag being waved. One of the Lamborghinis then goes out wide, which is Rolf Inijk, who was a David winner. And in stride there, look, it's Christer Jürgens, who was going so strongly at the start, made that move up the inside, but Jürgens has got problems now. Has he got a punctured tyre? Was he involved in that skirmish where we saw the bodywork go flying? And why was that yellow flag being waved ahead of the leading pack? Because that wasn't going to affect Christer Jürgens. The leader has gone over the line then. Stoltz it is who leads the way. Jules Gounon is 2nd. Marcus Winkelhoff is 3rd. In 4th place it is Asch who lines up to try to make a move on the inside. Lucas Schreier is in 5th spot. And Philipp Geipel there tries to get all heroic on the inside as they work their way down towards turn 1. David Yarn is in 15th place. Norbert Siegler is in 23rd, having gone from the back as the cars then now accelerate their way out of turn 3, climbing uphill. The lead gap then, 1.2 seconds at the end of the opening tour. But Asch, having been a bit slow off the line, is finding himself now with work to do. Ahead is Marcus Winkelhoff, massively experienced driver. But then Jules Gounon is just up the road ahead. Now, Gounon new to GT racing this year, but son of Jean-Marc Gounon, former single-seater racer, former sports car star, and so we'll see now how easy it is for Gounon to adapt to this car. It went pretty strongly at Ottersleben. It's the new Ford 2016 Corvette C7. And there again, the yellow flag is evident coming out of turn 9. The race leaders head downhill then. And off the road is the Bentley number 7, and I'm sure that's just to try and keep out of everybody's way because it's a slow car. He was pulling to one side when we last saw it. He's limping on, but now we go safety car. So the yellow flags that were evident a lap ago, and maybe this is to do with debris in the middle of the road because we saw it all at turn 1. And if Christer Jørgen's Bentley was involved in that, and it has got problems, it's perhaps shedding bodywork all the way around the lap. So the safety car is deployed. Christian Abt, who this year runs Bentleys rather than Audis, looks on from the pit wall. So let's recap the race order as we're behind the safety car then. It is Lukas Stolz Lamborghini leading, Jules Gounon Corvette second, Markus Winkelhock third, and there's another one that's called the safety car because it's in the gravel and it's 22, Steve Feiger, I'm afraid, in the Nissan. So that's another reason that we have the safety car out. A car in a dangerous place as much as bodywork and debris on the road. Fourth is Ash, fifth is Lucas Schreier, in sixth place Conor De Filippi, seventh it is Patrick Kujala, in eighth is Robert Renard, ninth Philip Geipel, and in 10th place is 33 Audi, which is the Christian Frankenhout car. So that is how we run the top 10 at the moment. David Jahn 15th, and what about Norbert Siegler 21st. This kind of helps Siegler a little bit now after his dramas on the grid, because it draws him back into contention as the cars get ready then now for the resumption of the race. So Steve Feiger, new to the championship this year, will have the car pulled out of the gravel. The safety car stays out. All of these laps count within the hour. The safety car pulls evident all the way around the circuit. So Christer Jørgens limped around as far as the pit lane, I think I'm right in saying, despite the damage. But can that car go back out? Number 7 Bentley. The car he shares with Daniel Abt, Christian Abt's son. Lukas Stolz, in the meantime, the race leader, sharing with Gerhard Trevauser. Now, this is why we had all the drama at the start, because that's not contact incident, that was Norbert Siegler sort of starting and then the car stalling, so it lurched forward. It looks like there was a bit in the back. It wasn't. That was just a funny angle showing that. But this is how the start looked as the cars accelerated away. And up towards turn number 1, Sebastian Ash just a little bit sluggish then as he accelerated down towards the first corner. That put him on the outside line and cost him some places as the rest of the field turned its way through that first right-hander that then plunges downhill. And there's Norbert Siegler going around the outside of 21, Nikolai Rogivu, in a car that didn't get a time in qualifying because the brake disc exploded early on. Looking back here from Sebastian Ash's car, has to cover the line to prevent Jules Gounon getting up the inside. Everybody else dives down to turn 1, and this is looking forward, Ash having fallen into 4th place. Now, can we work out what happened to Christer Jørgens from this? He's in 2nd place. You see, contact that we saw was Conor De Filippi just losing a bit of bodywork. There you see it from behind. So Jørgens had a separate drama. Let's try and look at it from his point of view. He gets a little bit of a squeeze from Ash, but he keeps on coming up the inside. Dives down to turn 1. Right on the tail of Lukas Stolz, who's defected from Bentley to Lamborghini for this year. Up the curb goes Jørgens. Again, that doesn't really explain why he got the damage. The car is still in the pit lane. This is the replay from Philip Geipel's point of view. Up the inside of Robert Renard, down towards turn 1. Deep breath. The safety car is going to be in this lap, though. So we will go racing again this time. And the field queued up there by Lukas Stolz. So Stolz and Gerhard Trevauser, who's been a Lamborghini stalwart in endurance races and in the One Make Championship, he's going to take the car over. But in 2nd place, Jules Gounon to Daniel Kylwitz, and Kylwitz has won more races in the ADAC GT Masters than anybody else. There was in a Ferrari a week ago, the Blancpain Endurance Series at Monza, the Blancpain GT Series Endurance Cup. So Kylwitz, definitely one to watch. And then you've got Markus Winkelhock and Marcus Pommer, the ex-Formula 3 racer, in 3rd place. It's Winkelhock at the wheel. So this race full of possibilities as we go back to green flag conditions with 53 minutes still on the clock. Over the timing line goes the Lamborghini. Stolz leads the way. 2nd spot over the timing line is Gounon. And again, Sebastian Ash just not that rapid off the mark. Look at the gap that he's lost already to the 3rd placed Audi. As another challenge he's made up the inside to Filippi alongside Lukas Schreier for 5th, and he's gone by. The American driver, the championship leader, Conor De Filippi, goes through, goes 5th. as the cars now plunge downhill once more. We have news that number 8, Fabian Hamprecht, is under investigation. More on that when we get it. As on board now with Philipp Geipel. He's looking for a way past Robert Renner. Geipel is coming under huge attack now because right there with him was 33 Audi. Christian Frankenhout at the wheel of it. The cars working their way downhill once again. This is lap number 5. Remember, the pit window opens at the 25-minute mark as the cars sprint on that bottom straight now on board with Geipel. Renauer is ahead, Robert, very experienced Porsche driver. Conor de Philippi looking menacing though now, but he's got himself up in a 5th place. The race leaders plunge downhill. Stoltz getting away, intriguingly. Gerhard Travaris is not slow by the wheel of that car. But Daniel Carlitz can take over the 2nd place call there. That's going to be interesting as Geipel dives up the inside of Renauer, dropping down there towards turn 11, and he's done it on the inside. Audi takes Porsche. Good move that by Geipel. The team based about 65 kilometres away, the Echo Racing team in Plauen, and this effectively the home circuit for the team. Went well here last year, but as they come over the timing line now, the race leading gap is 1.3 seconds. Lucas Stoltz ahead of Jules Gounod. Marcus Winkelhock runs 3rd, and there further back you've got Lamborghini versus Bentley. Even further back there's Bentley versus Audi versus Porsche. That is Philipp Hamprecht against Christian Frankenhout against Robert Renauer. Great battles raging on right the way through the order here, and there is a 5-second pit stop penalty being given to number 8, which is the Philipp Hamprecht BMW for an inaccurate grid, is the way it is phrased. That's the replay of Geipel getting past Renauer, but a 5-second pit stop penalty for number 8 Bentley due to inaccurate grid. In other words, the car was lined up strangely. That's the replay again, looking back at Geipel diving up the inside, and Renauer then has a good long look at the rear of the Audi as it swings in front of him. This was Conor de Philippi's move on Lucas Schreier, diving down towards turn 1 on the restart. De Philippi, the American, who like quite a few on this year's grid. We've seen a lot of in recent years in Carrera Cup in Germany, but now adapting with the Land Motorsport team to multi-mark endurance racing. Out wide and back goes Winkelhock. He's got Sebastian Ash, the reigning champion, don't forget, in the Modal Zap Speed Mercedes behind him in 4th place. See that little bit of debris in the road there, and everyone steers around as they then climb through turn 12. Important corner that, because it puts you onto the pit straight. Get it wrong and you completely compromise the exit speed and the run over the timing line, and the lead gap is going up to 2.2 seconds now. Lucas Stoltz to Jules Gounod. There is Gounod in the red, white and blue Corvette. 3rd Winkelhock, 4th Ash, 5th de Philippi, 6th is Schreier, 7th the yellow Lambo Kuyala. In 8th place it's Geipel, 9th is Robert Renauer. And that means that you've got Christer Jürgens running out of sequence in all of that after his pit stop. Norbert Siedler is still on the move. He's up to 20th from the back of the grid, the sort of self-imposed penalty, if you like. And this is on board now with Christer Jürgens. They've lost a lap with the dramas on the opening tour, and the car is down in 30th position, but it looks as though he got involved in a scrum somewhere and cut a tyre. That sorted out. Back into the race now as the leaders work their way uphill once more. We're on lap number 7. Hamprecht, with this penalty, is down in 11th place, but look at the way now that Lucas Stoltz is getting away. Lamborghinis traditionally go really well around here. If you look back over the history of ADAC GT Masters around the Sachsenring, although Audi has got 9 wins, the old Gallardo has 3 around here. But the new Huracan, introduced last year into GT racing, is the car that they want to try and guide to the top this year, and Stoltz leads the way for Lamborghini. Then it's Chevrolet, then it's Audi, then it's Mercedes. 4 different brands in the top 4, and Sebastian Ash, their number 1. In the new for this year, Mercedes GT3, looking a bit more committed now to get past Marcus Winkelhock. Mindful as well that he's got Filippi bearing down on him, as in the gravel and out of the race is Daniel Zampieri. And looking at that, he's got a long way off. Now, Daniel Zampieri is no dummy. He does not often hurl things at the scenery. So did he get there with an assist? We'll try and find out. Let's look at it in the background. Yes, look, there was the 21 Mercedes getting involved in that, which was Nikolai Rogivu. And Daniel Zampieri arrives in shot backwards. So, like I say, I don't think he did that entirely on his own. The fear is that it's going to bring out the safety car again, as the car is well and truly beached. So, as the drivers work lap number 8, we do indeed go safety car. The safety car comes out once again here. So the first one was for Steve Feiger. The second is for Zampieri. And the car is off at the bottom of the hill, so the drivers will see it any moment. And the boards now being readied all the way around the lap by the officials. Daniel Zampieri gets out of the car, but there's no way that's coming back from there. although the Huracan road car is 4-wheel drive. The race version, the GT3 race version, is 2. So it's stuck in the gravel, going no further. Luca Ludwig there getting a little bit concerned, perhaps, about life with the Mercedes that's down in 4th place. Mercedes AMG GT3. Other drivers keeping an eye to things in the pit garages as the leaders now have done 8 laps. And of course, Lukas Stolz loses out here because the advantage he pulled of about 1.5 seconds is now down to just lengths. So it brings everybody else back into the mix. So it's Stolz ahead of Gounon, Winkelhock 3rd, Ash 4th, De Filippi is 5th, Schreier doing a really good job 6th, considering he was in the gravel in qualifying. And 7th is Kujala, one of the heroes last year of the Lamborghini Blancpain Super Trofeo. 8th is Philippe Geipel, 9th is Robert Renard, and 10th now is Christian Frankenhauer. 11th with this Damocletian penalty, Philip Hamprecht. 12th is Daniel Dobic. In 13th place, another man that went very well, in fact, at Ossersleben, Peter Huenars, the Dutchman new to the championship this year. 14th is Patrick Assenheimer in his Corvette. He was in the gravel this morning. In 15th place is 34 is Aptur Tumlu, new to the championship this year. 16th, David Jahn in the Porsche. Now, there are 2 others, apart from Norbert Siedler, that we need to keep an eye on. Siedler is 21st, but number 36 Porsche, the Schutz racing car, Marvin Dienst at the wheel of it, last year's ADAC F4 champion. That car was put to the back of the grid because it was excluded from qualifying, having used the wrong tyres. 22nd is where Marvin Dienst has got to. You have to nominate tyres for the weekend and for individual sessions, and he ran the wrong one, so that car was put to the back. Team error. And the other car, Jesse Krohn in the new BMW, up into 23rd place. That car ran the wrong boost level, exceeded the boost under the balance of performance in qualifying, and it's a significant one, that, because Jesse Krohn was 5th fastest. Now, you could argue with the wrong boost, no wonder he was 5th fastest. But at the moment, Jesse Krohn, the Finn, is only 23rd, so not really making much progress, whereas Norbert Siedler is getting on with the job, and there's another one under investigation, and it is Nikolai Rogivu, presumably for his part in Daniel Zampieri's demise. So the stewards who've been busy already are going to continue to be busy. The leaders have now done 9 laps, and let's have another look and see. Again, you see the incidents happen before they come into shot, but Rogivu is there, no argument about it, and jolly close to Daniel Zampieri's car. Have another look. You see Zampieri arrives backwards, but the Mercedes was involved in it, no question. So the stewards will have a look, but those 2 shots, difficult really to piece it together because you kind of see the incident, but not the cause of the incident. But Daniel Zampieri, former International GT Open champion, and again, a man that's done a lot of Blancpain racing and Lamborghini racing. Last year he drove in that. He was co-driver on Lamborghini, and he's in the gravel now. So we've lost Zampieri, we've lost Feiger. We also lost a car before the qualifying session, the Florian Schultz. So Dominic Jurst, Mercedes, did free practice, but never got qualifying for various Grand Prix. So 32 started the weekend, 31 started the race, 29 still circulate, 28 are on the lead lap. Safety car in this time, and the field then now works its way up towards turn 12. Now the clock on the countdown is going up, whereas it's going down. We've got 44 minutes to go on the visual timing screen, and we're going to go back to racing this time around then. Lukas Stolz, Jules Gounon, Markus Winkelhock, Sebastian Ash, Conor De Filippi, Lukas Schreier. Lots of second-generation racers in this as the field then gets itself ready to go racing once more. So we're ready to go racing then as the cars turn their way out of turn 12, back on the pow, green flag once more. Lukas Stolz leads the way, Daniel Carvin's with him, but what about Sebastian Ash and the restart? Again, he's just not close enough, and he loses 2 or 3 lengths to Winkelhock. So what it is that's going on with the Mercedes off the line is hard to gauge, as then Kujala goes up the inside to try and get past Lukas Schreier. Is he going to make the move stick? Let's see, they lean on each other. The inside line for the next corner is claimed by the Audi, and so Schreier stays ahead. Great battle going on, and there's a bit of contact. Is that Kujala gets it wrong? He's got a damaged left rear corner, and he's in the gravel. That looked to me as though the suspension broke. He got a knock from behind, but you could see the wobbly wheel. Patrick Kujala is in the gravel, and I think I know what's going to happen next. So it looked as though it was the pack behind getting into the rear of the Lamborghini, the Huracan. Let's have another look. Down they come. So the leading group goes through. It's Christa Jørns behind, but was it contact or did something break? My first thought was that it was contact, but it might just have been a breakage as it went down the hill. And as it got sideways, it made it look even closer. Let's have another look. No, he's wrong. Something's broken. So, in fairness to Christa Jørns, he didn't give him a tap. Something broke at the back of the Lamborghini, put him into the gravel, and so it's a third safety car. While we've been watching the replays, just to confirm, the safety car is out for the third time of asking. And, that's where the contact came. Right, it was leaning on Schreier, and so by the time Patrick Kujala needs to brake for the next corner down at turn 3, which is about now, as he brakes, it brakes, the car brakes, suspension, let's go, and that puts him into the gravel. So the contact had come up the hill, and the safety car is out yet again. That's 3, in case you're wondering. So Luca Stoltz then leads the way. 'Twas ever thus. He'll keep the lead because we're not doing many racing laps at the moment, and it could even be that we get to the pit window like this as the cars work their way then now up towards the midpoint of the lap, and Patrick Kujala has to stand and wait for the car to be retrieved. So race leaders currently on lap number 12. Nikolai Royevu, by the way, just to go back to his incident with Daniel Zampieri, he's now been referred to the stewards. So more will come on number 21 later on. And so the stewards will have a look and decide if a penalty needs to be applied. So 41 minutes to go. As I say, ignore the graphic on the screen at the top just for the moment. So in a few moments, we're getting towards the pit window. If the safety car stays out for another 2 laps or so, then we could be looking at the pit window opening under safety car conditions. Patrick Kujala's Lamborghini, in a rather undignified fashion, being snatched out of the way. That's the car that he shares with Milos Pavlovic, 2 very, very quick drivers in Lamborghinis, but we're denied the chance today, at least, to see Pavlovic in action, which is a big frustration because the Serbian driver very quick. Right, the leaders have come through. Here's the replay. Christa Jørns having a look at it. Bang! That was quite a big whack against Luca Schreier. So Kujala was committed, eventually had to give way on the outside line, but yeah, what looked like rubbing actually turns out to be quite a big breakage for Patrick Kujala, and he did actually a pretty good job of not letting the car spin there as it went to the bottom of the hill. So Kujala is out. You see in the background the yellow peril heading off into the gravel bed. Here it is again. Snakes under braking, tries to correct it, but off he goes. So the safety car is going to be in this time, and Luca Stoltz once more will try and build this lead. We've got round about 4 minutes and counting before the pit window opens. So Stoltz ahead of Gunnar, ahead of Winkelhock, ahead of Ash, who's still not that hot with his rolling starts here. Then De Filippi, then Schreier. And up into 7th has gone Geipel, 8th Renauer, 9th Christian Frankenhout, 10th plus penalty Philip Hampret. So you try and serve that 5-second penalty when he makes his pit stop, but it's going to cost that car a little bit more ground. Safety car in this time, remember. The field then now working its way down towards turn number 11. And Sebastian Ash, again, needs to be on the tail of Marcus Winkelhock to have a go in towards turn 1. You do have to factor in success balance, I'll grant you, and that car has 30 kilos based on its results at Ossersleben, whereas the Audi has 30 ahead also. Number 77 Corvette has got 20, and the leading car has only got 15. So here they come, the drag uphill, up towards the timing line, and again, just look how much ground Ash loses as they come up towards the line. The leading trio gets away, past the pits then, De Filippi running in 5th spot, and who's going to be the hero this time around, down towards turn 1. The Bentley running out of sequence, a lap down, Christa Jørns, but he's trying to unlap himself against Luca Schreier. Then you've got Geipel, then you've got the Porsche, Robert Renauer at the wheel of it. And how's Norbert Siedler been getting on? He's into the top 20 now after his travails on the grid when the car just would not get going. But Stoltz once more for Lamborghini, building the advantage. That adds to the frustration, really, of Norbert Siedler thinking what could have been. Jaap van Lagen, his co-driver, another very experienced pair of hands as 33 goes through. Christian Frankenhout, he will share with Christopher Haase. And Christer Jørns there trying to unlap himself off Lucas Schreier. The Bentley plunges downhill. Jørns started third on the grid. He's got Daniel out to take over that car, and they run along the so-called bottom straight now. The road climbs through turn 7. Stadium section, the early third of the lap, great for the fans because you can see 2 or 3 corners if you don't stand in the right place. This is the back part of the circuit. They run behind the paddock. Road plunges downhill. A bit like Pilgrims drop into Hawthorns at Brands Hatch. It starts to climb as you get to the next corner, but here it's a left, and then they work their way uphill again towards turn 12 and the end of the racing lap. The pit window is imminent as the drivers now charge on up towards the completion of lap number 14 with Lukas Stolz. Despite everything that's been thrown at him leading the way, an effort being made on the inside there was Peter Huvenals to stay ahead of Patrick Assenheimer. The Audi keeps the Corvette at bay, and finally Sebastian Asch is on his toes to get past Marcus Winkelhock, and now he means business. It's been a long time coming this, but the reigning champion now, he's trying to get on with the job. One-time Grand Prix racer, indeed Grand Prix leader, Marcus Winkelhock ahead. He led the European Grand Prix in the Spiker in 2007, and he leads the way in this third-place fight, but he's got Sebastian Asch behind him. Second-generation racers both, as is the man ahead, of course, Jules Bounon. On board with the Mercedes, it's the new car for this year, replacing the old SMS AMG GT3, and it's got a much shorter wheelbase. It's a much more nimble car, therefore. There it is, number 1, the Z-Speed Run. Mobile-backed car. Luca Ludwig, another second-generation racer to take it over. And all of a sudden, Asch looks like he's come alive. He's right there on the tail of Winkelhock. Why he couldn't do this earlier, I've no idea. But he's getting on with it now and really throwing everything he can, getting up past the Audi. Downhill they come, into the left at turn 11. Stolz, in the meantime, is getting away once again. Slipping away from that Lamborghini. I know he's lighter, but he scarpers up the road. Christer Jørns runs out wide. It's a bit of a shame that he's where he is in a sense, because the car's a lap down, he's running at the right pace, but getting in people's battles. He's worked his way past Schreier, but in doing so, Schreier now has found himself being attacked by Philip Geipel. You're on board with Geipel in the car that he shares with Rahman Fries. They go down towards turn 1, Geipel to the outside, Christer Jørns locking up ahead and running out wide, but Schreier keeps his Audi ahead, and Robert Renau joining in for company as well now. 6th, 7th, 8th, downhill they go. Geipel. Turn 3, bottom of the hill, long right, don't get it wrong because you need every element of momentum to go up the hill quickly. And more dramas lower down the order with Robert Seidler, I think that was, being given a bit of a squeeze. Shoved out wide. So Seidler ends up dropping back into 24th place, and he's not the only one either in strife, because going off the road in 34 was Isaac Tutumlu. We've seen him on some Renault categories and radicals over the years, and the International GT Open as well, but now coming to the Super Sports Car League, and on board also with Geipel, having a look at Christer Jørns unlapping himself from Lukas Schreier. Tell you what, it's a very spectacular Bentley that, with all the sparks flying from underneath, but Christer Jørns runs out wide. Now, we've had the change for third place, because there, look, Sebastian Asch has done it, it's gone by, and the pit window is about to welcome its first cars. It is open, and we've got coming in Jules Bounon. So 77 is the first pit stopper. Let's keep an eye on these pit stop times now. Down the pit lane comes Bounon then. 65 seconds it is that you need to be aiming for. More and more of them are coming in as well now, look. So the race order is going to shuffle like this. So, as I say, 65 seconds is the pit stop mark. Getting a replay here of how Asch got himself up past Winkelhock. He was down at the bottom of the circuit, heading up towards turn 7, and good pass made up on the inside. And Winkelhock then coming under attack from Conor De Filippi, who got up alongside, but on the outside line, and that wasn't going to pay off for him. This is Philip Geipel in replay as well, battling with Lukas Schreier. So we've got the first pit stop cycling through, Geipel diving up the inside under braking, and he made it work. Good effort that, but then he ran out a little bit wide, so Schreier got back up the inside, couldn't quite do it though. Right, so we've got the cars back on track, and it was 67 seconds for Gunnar to Kyle Witz. The best has come from number 17, which was a 65.4 second stop, and that, therefore, is virtually perfect. 65 seconds, so to only lose 4/10 on the pit stop is excellent. You kind of think that pit stops are only relevant when people are under, but you can lose time. You've got people doing 67 rather than 65, so 2 seconds lost when it's this competitive is quite a margin. So the best pit stop time thus far, number 17, 65.4 seconds. We'll have a look at other pit stops as it cycles through and see how that's going to affect life. As on the track then, it is Lukas Stolz ahead of Sebastian Ash. There's the race leader, downhill once more, currently working lap number 18 with just over half the race still to go. 32 minutes, 27 seconds and counting. Stolz leads the way, but of course now, not only has he got to try and build the lead once more after so many earlier safety cars, he's also got traffic to factor in, given what we've had, partly by people being off the road and partly by earlier pit stops, just shuffling the order around even more. Downhill comes the Lamborghini through the left-hander at turn 11. As ever at the Sachsenring, a very busy Saturday crowd to watch GT cars, single-seaters, and a very busy supporting programme as well, with 1/8 and TCR and a variety of saloon and GT categories to make it a really busy weekend. The Sachsenring has a historic festival, MotoGP, and this, then, as its major car race event of the year. That's it, 8 noisy days, that's all it's allowed. But the fans in the region, a little bit starved of motorsport, flock here year on year and are always treated as a great racing. Winkelhock is in there. So number 15 pits, and let's see how this shapes up as a time. Jesse Kroon's brought the BMW in, Peter Huvenars has come in as well. Marcus Pommer, who was a Formula 3 race winner at Zandvoort last year in the FIA Championship, he gets aboard 15, 28 there, that's the Peter Huvenars Audi, which Marc Basseng, former FIA GT1 world champion, will take over. So Marc Basseng doesn't lack for anything when it comes to knowledge of GT racing. But the leading three, Stolz, Ash and De Filippi, are staying out. Getting towards the halfway mark of the race. And about to go back out will be number 15 Audi then, which now has Marcus Pommer at the wheel. And when does Lukas Stolz come in? And how will the pit stop be relative to the opposition? The lead he's got at the moment is 5.4 seconds over Sebastian Ash in second place. The 16 Lamborghini pit this time, no, stays out for another lap, climbs up the hill, over the timing line it will go. A 66-second stop for number 15. Winkelhock to give way to Pommer. So what was that he did? 66.4. Robert Renauer is in the gravel now. He was in 6th place. And this, again, could be very, very bad timing for some and great timing for others if it brings out the safety car. Renauer off the road, and he got a shove, didn't he? Was that the Patrick Assenheimer Corvette, conceivably, that he got a shove from? Let's have another look. Bang. Round goes Renauer. And he's not impressed by that. It's the same part of the circuit that Zampieri was assisted off, and understandably, Robert Renauer very, very frustrated. Off he goes. And I'm pretty sure that it was the Corvette. Yeah, the safety car is deployed. That's 4. And there's the evidence. Look, number 69, Patrick Assenheimer, up the inside. So I'm afraid to say that Renauer's Porsche is going no further. And our 4th safety car period comes during the pit window. So the smart teams will get the stops out of the way now, and everything will bunch up. But this could really help those that have pitted earlier, because they'll buy a huge chunk of track position. Who is the best placed of the stoppers? It could well turn out this to be the Gunon Kalvitz car that's the real beneficiary. So we've got the rest cycling through. There's the safety car. Right, who else has been in? We've got number 69, Assenheimer, under investigation. No kidding. Number 50 has just made its stop. So Geipel has given way to Rahel Frey at 65.3 seconds. Wow. How close to the mark is that? In comes the second place Mercedes, and Stolz has not pitted. That, I fear, has just cost them the race. So number 1 is in, as also is Conor De Filippi, as is Assenheimer. So pretty much now everybody coming in to make the stops, apart from Lukas Stolz. I think the Grasser Racing team have made a big error here by keeping him out a lap later. So as Patrick Assenheimer is under investigation, this is a crucial pit stop, as the pit window was still open, but the safety car came out. Now, of course, everyone's going to bunch up, but how many places is the car going to lose now? Those that have already made the pit stops are about to buy a huge chunk of track position. Engine fires up, and ready to go is the #1 Mercedes. The pit window time, 65 seconds is in to out. It's not stationary, so you've got to get it absolutely right so you know how much time you'll lose from your pit box. So out goes the Mercedes. And what we now need to see is where that car is in relation to the rest of the pack and whether it's gained or lost on the pit stops. Where's the traffic? There is Sebastian Ash. Quirky old stint that. I have a feeling that the Mercedes will keep the notional lead of the race, but number 77 Corvette is going to be right on its tail. Right, the green light on the safety car means traffic can go past. At the moment, number 16 is still the leading car, but he's going to pit. Yes, so that confuses life for the safety car crew even more, because the leader has just pitted. It did briefly have the race leader, but now in comes the Lamborghini. So where's it going to rejoin? Will this be to its advantage or its detriment by pitting a lap later? Well, Stolt stops, not with any finesse, but he stops, and out he clambers. Gerhard Verhazer will get in, the Austrian driver. So the Opel Mercedes has just gone by, so Stolz has lost his race lead. That's confirmed. And through will go now Conor Filippi. So the race order provisionally is Ludwig Ash ahead of number 29 Audi, which is now going to be Christopher Mies in for Conor Filippi. Another one that's really benefited out of all of this is going to be 25. Sachsenring in for Daniel Dovic. Away goes Stolz's car. Verhazer at the wheel, but it's going to drop a long way down. Number 8, Hamprecht to Smith, up into 4th provisionally, and 5th is going to be number 77, Daniel Karlowitz for Jules Gounon. That's not benefited as much as it might have done, actually. That was not that slow a pit stop either. 67 seconds. So now the safety car crew has to try and get, if you like, order restored. So the green lights say go past, and now they need to find the race leader. This is where you don't want to be the race director, I tell you. So the safety car picks up 44, which is outside the top 20. Now that's okay, you can go past. And it's going to be number 1 that it picks up as the race leader. It is, so well done to the officials, they've got the right car. So Luca Ludwig then is in the lead of the race. Patrick Ansenheim, I think I mentioned, is under investigation. His car has now been taken over by Dominic Schwager. So the race order, you can see the top 2 there. It is Luca Ludwig ahead of 29, which is the Land Motorsport Championship leading car, Christopher Mies at the wheel of it. The gap between them as they come over the timing line is about 2 lengths, that's all. So in real money, it's 0.6 of a second. In 3rd place is Dominic Schwager's Corvette. Again, it's come out of nowhere. 4th is 25. Daniel Dovic has given way to Edward Sandstrom. 5th is Guy Smith. 6th now, Daniel Karlowitz. And in 7th place is Florian Spengler. This is Martin Raginger, who's taken over from Robert Renau out of the ground and will go back into the race. So proof from the track is clear, because that's the reason for the safety car getting back after a pit stop. But the reason the safety car has stayed out a little bit is to just get everybody back under control. When the order gets so shuffled with people peeling off and pitting during the safety car period. So there we are. Let's go this time around. But yeah, 77 Corvette down in 6th place. I was thinking that car was going to be one of the beneficiaries, but somewhere on Daniel Karlowitz's outlap, he's lost a bit of ground. So we still have the leading 6 covered by just under 5 seconds. It's still going to give us a great final, third of the race, really. The last 20 minutes or so will be under green flag conditions, fingers crossed. And they're running out of sequence. In 3rd place is the number 7 Bentley that Christian Jens has given over now to Daniel Abt. And that's going to be the stumbling block for some, really, because if that car is at your pace, it's going to be hard to get past. So the top 2 might be able to make good their escape, whilst you've got Schwager and Sandstrom and then Guy Smith and then Daniel Karlowitz all looking for a way past this lap Bentley. And if it's going to help anybody, I suppose it would be its sister car, wouldn't it? At the Ab Bentley team, and there it is, look, number 8. Making its way towards us. So a lot can shake out of this still, and the safety car is in this time. It's going to give us about 22.5 minutes of racing as the field heads downhill. There is a black flag being prepared for number 99, Martin Ragginger, who I do not think should have rejoined the race. So that car, having been in the gravel and causing the safety car, shouldn't have rejoined. So big black flag. So this way. Right, the safety car's going to peel in, and we're going to go racing once more. And now Luca Ludwig it is who leads the way. The reigning champion leads the race. The car, new for this year, won the opening race at Ossersleben and leads, and his restart is a lot better than Sebastian Asch's because he's managed to extend the advantage over Christopher Mies. Now, what's going to happen behind? Because that lapped Bentley could be the spoiler in the pack, as Dominic Schwager gets up the inside, he puts a lap on him, and Guy Smith versus Daniel Kylwitz running together. Look as they round turn 1. Kylwitz not able to find a way past the Bentley as yet. Guy Smith ever raced at the Sachsenring before, Le Mans winner, but it's not somewhere that he's had much call to visit. He climbs uphill now with Kylwitz tucked up behind him. Daniel, a successful racer in this championship, but now let's see what Dominic Schwager can do. There is a drive-through penalty for Schwager's car for pushing another car. So he's being investigated with Patrick Assenheimer at the wheel. There was contact, if you remember, against the Porsche, and so there, third place, the Corvette is being given a drive-through for pushing that car that ultimately put it into the gravel, and the DMSB officials there confirming why the car has been black flagged as Ludwig gets on with the job up front, pulling away now from Christopher Mies in second position, and Daniel Kylwitz is on his toes. This is the fight in real money for third, fourth and fifth. Then you've got Sandstrom ahead of Smith, ahead of Kylwitz. Down they come towards turn 11, 21 more minutes on the clock, and Guy Smith illustrating why he is a Bentley factory driver, why he's a former Le Mans winner. He's absolutely committed to this, looking for a way past Edward Sandstrom. Uphill they turn, over the timing line. The race-leading gap is a second and a half, and another one under investigation is 66, the Emil Lindholm, Andre Gies Audi for speeding in the pit lane, possibly. Kylwitz to the inside of Guy Smith at turn 1. The Corvette tries to squeeze up the inside, but a Corvette and a Bentley trying to go side by side doesn't leave a whole lot of real estate. They are two big cars, and Guy Smith hangs on to the position then as they go downhill. That's turn 3, and Kylwitz now looking very committed to the task. Christopher Mies trying to get away. Dominic Schwager through in third on the road will get the message. Behind him is the lap Bentley, and Kylwitz is doing everything he can to get past Guy Smith here. Dab on the brakes as he rounds turns 4 and 5, then plunges downhill once more. There goes Edward Sandstrom, who is getting away a little bit because Guy Smith is busy defending in that 4th place, moves to the middle of the road to defend as they head up now through turn 7. This is the climb uphill, and as soon as you come out of turn 9, it plunges down the road again. It's a great lap. This is one the drivers absolutely love, and Luca Ludwig is loving every second of it because he's pulling away all the while now as the cars head downhill once again. Again, Kylwitz has a look on the inside. Doesn't pay off for him, so as the cars accelerate once more uphill. Now Kylwitz tries the outside line, that's brave. Guy Smith on the inside stands his ground, but Kylwitz has a good run coming up the hill then. They're side by side over the line. If Kylwitz makes this stick, it's going to be the move of the race because he's teed it up 2 corners before. He's got the grunt in a straight line, but Guy Smith keeps on coming on the inside, but Kylwitz has done it. Great bit of driving. It started 2 corners back, and it works going on to the long pit straight and then under braking for turn 1. So Daniel Kylwitz goes through. That puts him up into 5th place, which is really 4th because you've got Schwager to take the penalty yet. Trouble is that while he's been scrapping like that, the gap's all widened again. So Kylwitz now in the Valvoline back Corvette, head down in the Callaway competition run car. The team of Ernst Ver and Giovanni Ciccone. And the Callaway Corvette then sets off in pursuit of Edward Sandstrom. He's 1.6 seconds back. The Bentley falling away a little bit now, so is Guy Smith going to lose anything else before the end of this race? The next car that will come up and challenge him is Emanuele Zonzini in the chasing Lamborghini. There it is, 32 is Zonzini. He's got Marcus Pommer behind him in the car that was third early on in the hands of Vinkelhoff, but lost out on the pit stops by just when it pitted really. Tucked up behind him is the car that led early on. There it is, look, Rico Stoltz's car now in the hands of Gerhard Ferraza. So Ferraza is running down in 9th spot. This is the moment. Does that show us a contact against Robert Renaud? It does. You know, you've got to say that penalty is the right thing based on that, because it was very much Renaud's corner. And the Corvette is serving its drive-through penalty right now. So number 69 Corvette will plunge down the order, just as Robert Renaud plunged into the gravel. So there is Luca Ludwig, still leading the way. And still the best of the pit stops, 65.3 seconds, so only losing 3/10 was to the Yakko Racing Audi, which is, after all of that, down in 10th place. Gordon Siegler, who is now in number 5, giving way to Jan van Lagen. That Lamborghini is only in 18th. Louis Delatraz, 22nd in the BMW up to the back of the grid. The Z4 no more in the championship of the new F13 M6 that's being run by Schubert Motorsport. Probably the long boost, so that car condemned to the back of the grid. And there's another one under investigation, and it is number 34, the Calvin van der Linde Audi. The race leader goes through. We're looking back from Rahal Frey's Audi. And at turn 12 they come towards the timing line. Behind Rahal is in 33, which is the car collection car, Christopher Haase. And there, look, Edward Sandstrom has got Daniel Karlovitz right on his tail. This is for 3rd place. Karlovitz is on an absolute mission here. He's going to be good for the podium with 16 minutes to go. But you never know if we get another safety car period for any reason. Could he do anything about the leaders? Still, there's that pesky Bentley number 7 of Daniel Abt up the road ahead, running at their pace, but out of sequence. Having lost its lap early on. There is Karlovitz then having taken over from Jules Gounon. Karlovitz works out now where he can try and find a way past the MS Racing Audi just up the road. Edward Sandstrom in the Kusile Ference Vansig back car, hanging on to his 3rd place for the moment. Leaders on lap 28, and still the car's under investigation. As I say, Calvin van der Linde under investigation now. As 15, Marcus Pommer turns his way on the back of Emanuele Zonzini towards turn 12 now. Behind Pommer is the charging Gerhard Veralze, but I still think it was just a bad time pit call that's done it for them by pitting a lap late relative to the now race-leading Mercedes. That's really what did for the Grasser Racing Team, Gottfried Grasser's squad. The leaders go by, and a drive-through penalty is being given to Calvin van der Linde for an unsafe release. So a drive-through for 34, and that's a shame because the car was making progress up into 18th place now. Calvin van der Linde having won here last year for Christian Abt's team, the South African former Sirocco champion. So that's a car that's going to drop down the order. And now 15 minutes of the race remain, and things are kind of, he says, tempting fate, settling down, because as you look at the new BMW, we've not had quite so much frenetic racing for a couple of laps, and the safety car hasn't been needed. Number 20 BMW, Louis Delatraz in 21st place. That was the car we just saw. Delatraz then new to GT racing this year, having won last year's Formula Renault 2-litre NEC. And this is Rahal Frey, hard at work, 9th place now. That's been kicked up by Gerhard Veralze. He's just up the road ahead of Veralze. It's Pommer ahead of Pommer is Zonzini. The cars working their way now towards turn 12 once again. The yellow Benaldi Motorsport Lamborghini then heading this little battle pack. Emanuele Zonzini, somebody that's raced in Formula Renault GP3, now turning attention to GT cars. The lead gap is going up. Sandstrom hanging on to his 3rd place, he's chipping away a little bit. Squabble here, Zonzini ahead of Pommer, then it's Veralze, then it's Frey, and catching Rahal now as well is Christopher Haase, another newly experienced Audi racer. Christopher having won the Nürburgring 24 of the Blancpain Endurance Series. Rahal Frey right on the back of Gerhard Veralze now, so the Huracan and the R8 put them together, they were pretty similar in terms of the shape. They are absolutely nose to tail. Lamborghini Huracan seems to be the best-selling GT car around now. There are lots of them in domestic GT championships, and the Blancpain Series were 47 of them alone, the Lamborghini Championship last week in Monza. So Lamborghini has been a busy constructor over the winter. to result in more dramas in race control, and the need to scramble down. I think there is Nikolai Sylvester, gets back on the road and squeezes Freddie Barton a little bit, who's going to go around the outside of him. So that's one Mercedes in strife. Nikolai Sylvester gets it way wrong coming through turn 6 into turn 7. Gets it back on just ahead of Sven Barth, who was able to go past despite a bit of a heart-in-mouth moment. And Sven stays ahead there, looking at the other blue Corvette coming over the timing line. That was a proper battle for position, so it's cost Nikolai Sylvester. He has fallen back into 19th place now. Behind him is Laurens Vanthoor in the second of the orange Audis. Now, it's good to have Laurens Vanthoor in the ADAC GT Masters this year. He is one of, if not the best, GT racer around, and we've seen him have great success with WRT. He's an Audi factory driver. He's been put into this squad for this championship for this year. It's going to be interesting to hear his thoughts about the difference in the teams. Certainly this is a squad on the way up, whereas WRT is probably the best Audi GT team at the moment. But Vanthoor giving it his all, and he's not raced here for a long time, since he was in the Formula 3 Euro Series. So, sorry, the German Formula 3 Cup, I should say, in the context of Vanthoor. So it's been a good 7 or 8 years since he was last here. The race leader is now 2 seconds ahead. This is the fight for third. This is Edward Sandstrom in the Audi ahead of an absolutely flying Daniel Kylwitz behind them. Up towards the timing line now goes the Audi. It's a fifth of a second between them. So the big grunty Corvette right on the tail. Behind you've got Zonzini, then Palmer, then Ferrazza, then Fry. And here it is for third, side by side into turn 1. Sandstrom hangs onto the place, and Kylwitz unable to keep on the outside and take the inside for 2. Is there going to be an opportunity to fight up the inside at turn 3? You need to try and force a mistake out of somebody there. It's not really an easy overtaking opportunity unless the guy ahead carries too much speed and gets it wrong. Ignore that Bentley, because Daniel Abt, with all due deference, is a lap down in 27th after the dramas Krista Jürgens had early on in the race. So it's Mercedes up front at the moment, ahead of, in second spot, number 29 Audi. Third is Audi versus Corvette. Fifth is Bentley, and sixth is Lamborghini. With 7th Audi, 8th Lamborghini, 9th Audi, and the top 10 completed by yet another Audi. 11th, by the way, there just came through shot, the Porsche in the hands of Klaus Bachler. That was the one that David Jahn started and was in stride, pretty got blocked by Norman Seaver on the start of the rolling lap. But they've chipped and chipped and chipped, got up the order, and now Klaus Bachler, former Porsche junior, is going strongly, and he might be able to break into the top 10 before the end. We saw him on occasions last year for the Schutz team, but now driving for the Timo Bernhard team, which has moved into this championship away from Carrera Cup, in which it cut its teeth last year. So Bachler, one to watch over the remaining laps, and we've got 10 more minutes of the race to go. As up front, it looks as though Luca Ludwig is on for a win, because he's just solidly building the lead. Great overhead shot there over the busy Sachsenring. The GT paddock to the left, the support race, or one of the support race paddocks, because there are 4 of them on the inside, and a challenge is made by Rahel Frey on the inside of Gerhard Ferrazza. Doesn't quite work. Not for the ones of trying. Rahel all committed there, but it just did not pay off. This was a very quick car around here last year, although one race, I think it was the first, straight after the pit stop, it went into the gravel. But Geipel and Frey did score a win at Nürburgring last year, and had a strong partnership. Local round for the Jacko Racing team, as I said earlier on, but at the moment it doesn't look as though things are going to be much better than night. Gerhard Ferrazza hanging onto the place as the cars drop downhill. The Huracan, sounding as symphonic as ever, keeps the R8 LMS at bay. There are new cars in the championship this year, like, for example, the Corvette, like the BMW, like the Mercedes, but this is the second generation of the R8. Last year, the R8 LMS, taking over from the Ultra, was given to a few teams to develop, but now it's been rolled out to all the customers, so it's the second generation car. And this little group comes out of turn 11. The leaders have just gone across the line, and that's the replay of Sandstrom versus Kylwitz, and that great fight for third place. And it's the same order. They've just gone over the timing line, half a second betwixt the two. It shows how close it got, because there was contact, and debris and bodywork goes a-flying. So Kylwitz right in the back of Edward Sandstrom. A challenge made there, look, Palmer versus Fry as they go down towards turn 1. And Gerhard Travaza has got up the inside, so he's gained the place. It's Palmer that's gone backwards, but Rahel Fry not quite able to squeeze by. The 2 Audis, very evenly matched as you would expect. They're running nose to tail as they turn their way downhill. And Rahal Fry getting very committed to this to try to find a way through. Can't do it yet, though. Into the last 8 minutes of the race. And a replay here of Trevaza really selling Pommer a dummy. He made him move to the outside to defend, and there was just a hurricane's width. That was good stuff by Gerhard Trevaza. Commits to the move up the inside. Pommer sees him coming. I think, oh no, better not chop him. So he had to give him racing room. And of course, it's compromised through that uphill left-hand route. That's how Rahal Fry got up alongside. There's the replay from her point of view. She thinks, right, I can have a go now. Gets up the inside, but didn't quite have the drag coming out of the corner. 7 more minutes are on the clock as the leaders go through, and it is Luca Ludwig now by just 2 seconds from Christopher Mies in number 29 Audi. The replay there just confirming that it was Pommer to stay ahead. As you look at the leaders now at the same part of the road, coming out of turn 1. There's going to be a bit of clearing up to be done after this race. Lots of bits lying in the road, and there you can see Daniel Abt coming under attack now, because Edward Sandstrom is going to try and put a lap on him, and this is not what Sandstrom wants. Is that Bentley having a problem because it's lost quite a bit of time relative to the traffic around it, and that's the message is being given, back off and let the race leaders through. But it looks like all of a sudden, despite doing slower laps, they've got up with that Bentley. It was its last lap, 22.3, only a couple of tenths slower, so gradually the cars on the lead lap have got themselves onto the tail and will need to find a way through. Trevaza still pushing on, and this was his move against Emanuele Zonzini at the same point of the circuit. In other words, turn 12, and again through, done, job successfully achieved on the inside line. And this time it's Marcus Pommer who tries to be the opportunist. Couldn't quite make that stick either, so Zonzini has lost out because Pommer did go through, not on that move, but at the end of the pit straight. So Zonzini loses 2 places. And this was the Pommer move. So you've got the green Lamborghini already up 1 place, Gerhard Trevaza, and then Marcus Pommer, who tried to get up alongside, leaving turn 12, is on the outside at turn 1 and goes all the way around the outside, and that is brave stuff. Inside line for turn 2, job done, heads downhill. And Zonzini, somebody who doesn't know the Sachsenring that well, has to give way. Flag is being shown to number 7, so the lapped Bentley being told to let the leaders by so it doesn't impede the fight for 3rd place, as there the charging Klaus Bachler still tries to get the car up the order. Bachler is 11th, he's on the back of Christopher Hasse. I was suggesting the top 10 might be possible. It still is, if only as much as Zonzini in the yellow Bonaldi Lamborghini. It looks like he's losing time here, because as others have got through, they've pulled away, and Zonzini has now got another queue behind him. There he is. This is the car that was started by Florian Spengler, as with 5 minutes to go, there's the race-leading pair. Ahead is Ludwig, behind is Mies. And then there's a big, big gap before we find anybody for 3rd place. And it's still Sandstrom ahead of Kylvitz then. Downhill they go, the King at turn 10. Sandstrom with about 2 lengths advantage, and Kylvitz has done everything he can so far to find a way through. Valvoline back Chevrolet is about to climb up the hill once again, and the clock ticks down. 4.5 minutes as the race leader has just gone over the timing line. 2.2 seconds is the advantage, and on that lap, Christopher Mies takes about 4 tenths out of the leading margin. Mies has not given up far from it. It might be that Ludwig feels that the gap is enough and he can preserve this, but Kylvitz is still giving energetic chase to Sandstrom. Behind them is Guy Smith in the number 8 Bentley, despite that extra 5 seconds that it had by way of a penalty from earlier on for the incorrect grid position. And then behind, look, you've got the cars diving into turn 1. Who's going to be the real mover in the pack here? Well, Klaus Bachler looks like he's still making progress. He's into the top 10 now. And a replay here. What do we find? Scenery. So the Sachsenring race 1 for ADAC GT Masters coming to an end, but still places can shake out of it. There is Rahal Fry on the back of Emanuele Zonzini. Huracan versus R8. They drop downhill. Gerhard Trevaza in the meantime getting himself onto the back of Marcus Pommer. Trevaza, I think, as he's a sight set on another place here, he does fancy his chances of getting 6th before the end, even against the Formula 3 and MotoGP hot shoe ahead of him. So Pommer might have to stick out his elbows here. Trevaza perhaps more than most. There's that Lamborghinis working his way up now towards turn 11 once more. Zonzini versus Fry in the background. Klaus Bachler still pounding on in the Porsche that was delayed on the grid. And up the inside goes Rahal Fry. Doesn't pay off for her though. twist car to the inside of Zonzini. Through she goes. Job done into turn 12. And now Klaus Beckler trying to be the opportunist. Is he near enough? Let's see. Over the timing line they come. Down towards turn 1 now. Zonzini fights back. The Huracan is on the outside line. Beckler tries to buy into it. There's a gap on the inside. He's going to level with the Lambo. Through the corner they go, and he's done it. Bit of a run, but Klaus Beckler goes through. More bodywork lies in the road. That's the part of the circuit where we lost to Bernaldi Lamborghini early on, down at this corner after contact at the top of the hill, but at least Zonzini survives. So Klaus Beckler, push, push, push all the time. So that now will give him 9th place, and he's not done yet either, because the young Austrian wants to try and get up past Rahal Frey if possible. From 2 downhill, if anybody's on Zonzini, have a look at the replay. Beckler goes through. And behind also the second of the Grasser Lamborghinis, and Christian Engelhardt was losing out, but Beckler through. There you can see the green Lamborghini, the Grasser car of Engelhardt, winner of Otterschleben in race 2. Look back, there's Klaus Beckler going through, looking back from Rahal Frey's car. There was a bit of a rub between them, but Beckler goes by. Got just over 19 seconds of the race still to run then as the cars work lap number 39. So it's been a pretty lively race. Lots of safety cars in the first stint. And through it all, it looks as though number 1 Mercedes is set for the victory, doesn't it now? Because Luca Ludwig is unchallenged, 2.3 seconds up the road he is compared to the opposition. Luca has always been a GT specialist, following in his father's footsteps very much. As Ludwig, former FIA GT champion, winner in German Group 5, in sport prototypes. And Luca has gone the same route, really, specialising in cars with a roof over his head. So there, 77, heads up the hill. Daniel Kalvitz on the tail of Edwin Sandstrom, but is it going to happen for him? I don't think it is now. The leader is going to squeeze one more lap out of this. A flying lap is a minute 22 at the moment. So there's going to be time just for another lap within the time allowed. Over the line goes. Thumbs up from Roland Nash on the pit wall, Sebastian's father. Roland himself, a very successful touring car racer. And so the final lap graphic is up and down. Race leaders currently on lap number 40. There is the number 1 Mercedes then. And the clock will hit 0 any second now. So through the traffic, the Attempto 66 Lamborghini is the one that's just being negotiated. Andre Gies. That was another car being investigated early on for speeding in the pit lane. Both Andre Gies and Emil Lindholm, the second driver of that car, graduates of VAG's One Make programme, Sirocco's and Audi TTs, respectively, as that car then continues, albeit now a lap down, in 26th place. The entry much swelled from last year in this championship, and some new teams, and significantly a number defecting from other championships. So the ADAC GT Masters being a very attractive place to come and race this year. Race leader for the 40th time up through turn 12, heading now towards the timing line. Look at Ludwig blast through, and now onto the last lap of the race. It's 60 minutes plus the lap. Last year there was a race at the Nürburgring where it was very tight, and the flag went out, and it turned out to be about 2 seconds early. So to get round that potential problem, it is 60 minutes plus a lap. And that was a replay of Rahal Frey running wide, and at the inside gets Klaus Beckler. And does the place change? Yes, it does. So Beckler goes up into 8th spot now. On the last lap of the first race of the weekend in ADAC GT Masters Sachsenring, as in replay Rahal Frey has to watch the Porsche pass. The lead gap 2.7 seconds now between the top 2, as there is Ludwig and there in the background is Christopher Mies. Luca Ludwig did appear a few years back at the Nürburgring Blancpain Endurance Series race in an Audi. He drove for the Phoenix team, but he and Sebastian Asch have been a very successful double act in recent times in the Zach Speed Run squad. And although it's a new car, it's the same livery and the same team and the same driver combination that won this championship last year. We're on the last lap and 2 corners to go for number 1 Mercedes. the new for 2016. Mercedes is going to score victory. The AMG GT3 heads into the last corner. It's Mercedes ahead of Audi, ahead of Corvette. But Mercedes wins race 3 of the year in the Super Sports Car League. The ADAC GT Masters race 1 at Sachsenring goes to Luca Ludwig and Sebastian Ash, Christopher Mies, and Conor de Filippi back second. Edward Sandstrom is going to come through in third in the car started by Daniel Dobic, and then fourth will go the way of Jules Gounon and Daniel Karlvitz. Just thinking about where the number 25 Audi started, because none of the Audis qualified all that well. Some good progress has been made from 18th on the grid by Dobic and Sandstrom, again partly down to the safety car during the pit window, but some good driving nonetheless has helped them back up the order. 5th goes the way of Guy Smith, 6th Marcus Pollard, Ferrazza bagged 7th, Backler 8th, Fry 9th, and Zonzini rounds out the top 10. But there is the winning car, the winning combination. Luca Ludwig and Sebastian Ash take the win, and the winning margin in the end just over 2 seconds between the top two. Sebastian Ash to embrace the Mercedes engineers. 3 races down, 2 victories to the reigning champs. And the marshals out on track offered their congratulations and waved the flags to the drivers on the in-lap, and adds to the colour of what is already a very colourful and busy place. As I was saying earlier on, the Sachsenring has very, very few noisy days, but it always attracts a huge crowd, and they are being treated to some great racing, a very busy weekend. So let's confirm the way they came across the line. 41 laps down. Sebastian Ash and Luca Ludwig, the winners, ahead of Conor de Filippi and Christopher Mies. Daniel Dobic third, with Edward Sandstrom ahead of Jules Gounon, and then Daniel Karlvitz in the second stint. Fabian Hamprecht and Guy Smith 5th. Winkelhock and Pommer 6th, ahead of Stolz and Ferrazza, with 8th after their dramas on the grid, David Jahn and Klaus Backler. Geipel and Fry 9th, ahead of Spengler and Zonzini. Lucas Schreier 11th, with Xavier Maassen. Ineichen and Engelhardt 12th, Ossersleben winners, ahead of the troubled Mercedes of Rogivu and Silvest. Frankenhaus and Haase only 14th. Huvenals and Basseng dropped back after the pit stops to 15th, with Norbert Siedler and Jaap van Lagen 16th. Van Toor was only 18th, despite his best efforts towards the end, and there were quite a few that have DNF next to the drivers' names from a fairly bruising encounter in the first of 2 for ADAC GT Masters here at Sachsenring, and the cars now make their way down the pit lane into the Parc Ferme area. Although there is one car missing from the top 3. Where's Edward Sandstrom got to? He's on his way, hopefully. Yes, the DMSB officials wave him into place. Those that aren't required return to the teams down the pit road, and then the drivers make their way, first of all, for the television interviews, and then up onto the podium. So, in a sense, it should have been 3 out of 3 by now for Ash and Ludwig, because they won on the road in race 2 at Ossersleben, but a 30-second penalty was given for an infringement on the restart of that race. So it got away, and because there was a late race safety car and everybody was bunched up, it had even more consequences than it would have done under normal conditions, if you like. There is Daniel Dobic, pretty chuffed with the 3rd place from 18th on the grid. But Luca Ludwig takes the victory. Even with the 5-second penalty the car copped in the first round, they still came through to win because the late race safety car worked in their favour. Christopher Mies held it off, and will start to explain about his race now as he hands the crash helmet over to the team. The Montauban by Land Motorsports squad. Conor de Filippi, the American, did the first stint and did a good job. Conor drove for Wolfgang Land's team in the Carrera Cup Deutschland last year. Christopher Mies has driven for most Audi teams, and as it is for this year, APR Motorsport, Gustavsson, Vierundzwanzig Audi of Daniel Dobic and Edward Sandstrom coming through for 3rd place in the end, 9 seconds back from the leaders, although a bit delayed behind to defend that 3rd place. For 2nd, it is this new to GT racing squad, Montauban by Land Motorsport, Conor de Filippi and Christopher Mies, Audi factory driver, parachuted in, make a very successful combination. They came here as the championship leaders. They take another 2nd place, which gives them points but doesn't give them too much extra weight. But the winners for Team Zaxby, the Mercedes AMG GT3 new car for this year, Sebastian Ash and Luca Ludwig, the 2 drivers. The winning margin, 2 seconds. And the Mercedes, very much today, has proved to be the car to beat. And so the fans get ready for the next activity on the track. The drivers, though, will make their way shortly up towards the podium. And there's still a lot to happen here at the Sachsenring today. The next activity on the track is going to be the Central European Renault Clio Cup. There's the National Deutsche Tourenwagen Cup as well to come, plus Formula 4, plus the Spezial Tourenwagen Trophy. So race fans get plenty of track time for their money here, with 4 Formula 4 races, if you include the qualification race, lots of GT track time. It really is a real festival of motorsport. And from the circuit's point of view, when they are allowed to run, they make the most of it. So Mercedes, Audi, the way the top 3 finished, and the drivers very shortly, as I say, will be up to the podium. So good for Conor De Phillippi and Christopher Mies in the championship, because that now gives them an increased advantage. But for Luca Ludwig and Sebastian Asch, another 25 points brings them up into 2nd spot, so they move up the order. And although it's very early to be thinking about championships, it's fewer races this year, 7 doubleheader weekends. The championship, which has already been to Ossersleben, has Sachsenring this weekend, and then it travels off to the Lausitzring in early June, where it will support, or run alongside, perhaps to be fair, the DTM. Then it moves to the Red Bull Ring in mid-July, then to the Nürburgring for its traditional early August date, then to Zandvoort in August, and then finishes at Hockenheim early October. So the championship, 7 events and a compact calendar. Of course, for many of the teams, it's not only 7 weekends of activity, because many run cars in other championships. Zakspeed, for example, is one that had cars in the Blancpain GT Series Endurance Cup at Monza last week. The same is true of Attempto, the same is true of Grasser. So a number of the teams busy with lots of different programs, and with the same car just being switched from one championship to another. Change the stickers, change the transponder, and go racing again. So the Mercedes drivers head towards the presentation area, and the pit lane is busy with the teams, the engineers, but also the scrutineers who want to keep the cars in Parc Ferme until the post-race checks are done. And then we can have confirmation of that result. There's the Corvette Dominic Schwager was driving, but 20th in the end after the drive-through penalty. Patrick Assenheimer's zealotry causing that car to drop down the order after it ran into and turfed off the road the Porsche of Robert Renauer. Christopher Mies and Conor De Phillippi also coming home as the winners of the junior category. And Rolf Ineichen is the man who wins in the Masters Trophy, which has been introduced this year under a different name to reflect the older driver, the gentleman driver. He battles against Andreas Weishaupt, Remo Lips and Steve Feiger in that, whereas the juniors, Conor De Phillippi, Nicolas Rogivu and Patrick Assenheimer, with the young guns fighting that out pre-race. There'll be an updated point situation for tomorrow, but as far as the overall standings are concerned, it's looking pretty good at the moment for De Phillippi and for Mies. But Ludwig and Asch cannot be discounted, and that win has done them a huge amount of good. Last year, it took them a long time to start winning. If you think back, they were regularly on the podium scoring points, but it was only really the Spa weekend in June where the wins started to come. So Conor De Phillippi and Christopher Mies lead the championship, but haven't had a victory yet. Luca Ludwig, Sebastian Asch then up to 2nd, and look at the gap they've pulled now. Christian Engelhardt and Rolf Ineichen having a difficult race, only 12th. Marcus Pommer and Marcus Winkelhock are behind them on 4th, and they were only 6th in the race. So 4 points between the top 2. 25 between 1st and the 3rd placed combination in the championship. Quite a margin to make up, but no doubt it will be done over the remaining races of the season. So in the Sachsenring sunshine, the drivers will step forward. And for the top step, Luca Ludwig and Sebastian Asch step forward and on to the top step of the podium as race winners. For second place, Christopher Mies and Conor De Filippi step forward onto the second step, and then for third, Edward Sandström and Daniel Dovic step forward. So the winning drivers then on the podium, and in a few moments' time the presentations will be made. Zach Speed has a representative for the team award as we have the national anthem of the winning team. So for Sebastian Asch and for Luca Ludwig, Jürgen Fabry, the representative from the ADAC, makes the trophy presentation for the race winners. Luca Ludwig and now Sebastian Asch hold the trophies aloft, continuing the winning ways from last year. Lots of applause from those gathered beneath as now Detlef Hastreiter from the ADAC Saxon steps forward to present the trophies to the second place drivers, to Conor De Filippi and now to Christopher Mies. And then for third place to Edward Sandström and Daniel Dobic, Frederick Bertrand, the FIA's Director of Racing Activities, is here and he makes the presentations. And Certina, represented through the Swatch Group, and Philip Ritter, the brand manager of Certina, gives the clock to the winning team. For Zach Speed, the clock is held aloft. Many of those adorned the wall last year. There's another for the collection. And so now the champagne is sprayed, and the drivers can finally relax at the end of what was a pretty stressful race at times, with plenty of drama and plenty of action, and they do it all over again tomorrow. But it is going to be after a separate standalone qualifying session, and it could well turn out to offer an even more jumbled grid going into race 4 in the ADAC GT Masters. So there are more photographs to be taken. The drivers will in a moment or two head for the press conference and explain all about their races, but it's all smiles at Zach Speed. But funny old race though, again because of that safety car during the pit window, the fourth of the race, but a car that never looked all that lively to begin with. Sebastian Asch losing ground on the rolling starts and the restart, suddenly was in the right place at the right time, and got to say, in the hands of Luca Ludwig, looked mighty strong indeed. Never looked back, did it, as Ludwig was able to pull away and build the advantage. So there are the drivers, and trophies in hand. They all step forward now for the photographs, including Zach Speed. Very, very experienced team, of course, with success in years past in just about every German category going, but did have its brief time in Formula 1, going back to the mid-1980s, and although West Zach Speed weren't the most successful of cars, it was, at least for Eric Zakowski, a time where his squad raced at the highest level. And so now the drivers talk to the fans on the podium, with Luca Ludwig going first, and the Audi crew from APR Motorsport, as it's been renamed for this year, make their way off the podium back to the team. So for a very entertaining first race, Mercedes scores a second victory of the season, and more to come tomorrow in the ADAC GT Masters. So the drivers with information armed, ready for tomorrow's race, can go back and talk to the team. And if any fine-tuning is needed, it can all be done for tomorrow. There are 1 or 2 teams, though, that are going to have some work to do. But we look forward to race 2 in the ADAC GT Masters here at the Sachsenring tomorrow afternoon. The race due to get underway at just before 10 minutes past 1 local time. 8 minutes past 1 is the scheduled blast-off time, so make sure you tuned in about 1 o'clock for what promises to be another cracking race. And with such a big field this year, as GT Grid seems to be booming all around the world, we are set for what's going to be a fascinating second race of the weekend here at the Sachsenring tomorrow afternoon. For race 1, celebrations for the Zakspeed team, a win for Luca Ludwig and Sebastian Asch, and the new Zakspeed Mercedes will go forward into tomorrow's race as the car to beat. So join us for race 2 tomorrow. For now, from David Addison, bye-bye from the Sachsenring. Come on.
When I see you dance with another, when I see you dance with another, I can't bring myself not to bother. When I see you dance with another, when I see you talk to another, when I see you talk to another, I got no choice but to go undercover. When I see you dance with another, come on. I can't get you off of my mind. I can't get you off of my mind. 'Cause I know your love is unkind. I can't get you off of my mind. Yeah. Come on. Oh, when I see you dance with another, when you put your hands on another, I can't bring myself not to bother. When I see you dance with another, when I see you walk with another, when I see you talk to another, I got no choice but to go undercover. When I see you dance with another, yeah. Wow, I can't get you off of my mind. I can't get you off of my mind. 'Cause I know your love is unkind. I can't get you